Hey everybody, today we have the battle for the Arctic Circle G.I. Joe X's and Allies game. Um, this is how you initially set up scenario 1, which is called the cold open, I believe. Yeah, so snow job, so you have snow job, distro, kill all, and Cobra Commander, and you see snow job has this base, distro has this base, Cobra Commander has this base, and the Joe Kill All has this base. The Joes have a combined base right here, where it's Kill All's forces and Snow Job's forces, and the Cobras have a combined base here, where it's Destro's forces and Cobra Commander's forces. These are victory point areas, so you kind of want to take those. Um, as fast as possible, I guess, and I will um, and whatnot. Here is the turn order. So Cobra Commander goes first, then Admiral Killhall, then Destro, then Snowjob. Here's your strategic reserves where you put up to four, where you put your troops that you're going to buy, which you buy with, of course, victory point, um, victory point things. Now the victory points on your bases do not count. They count for they don't count for conquering or winning condition, but they do count for making money, if that makes sense. So the combined one, since it's split, I believe that means that you have to split the amount unless one side or the other controls all of it. I think that's how that would work. So it looks like, or you could just give them all, but that would be kind of unfair because then the Joes have 24. This way the Joes have 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 12, 18 points to start with. And the Cobras have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points to start with. So bind points, bind power, which can increase or decrease depending on it. Look, the Joes have less men on the board. It looks like, but they have more bind power for the next turn. While you don't purchase on your first turn. I never purchase on your because you already have troops on the board, so there's no point in purchasing them. Right? Then you have 7 rounds to take to succeed, and you either win by a victory condition, taking a base, or having or at the end of round 7, whoever has the most victory points wins, and that's how you basically set up for round 1 and how you play. Here is the card, which tells you a lot of information. It tells you the the type, the troop type, the cost, the attack, the defense, and their movement. So all that's good. Another special rule that I would want to address is this game has aircraft carriers which can hold airplanes, up to two airplanes or fighters or whatever, and it has cruisers, and cruisers act as transports too in this game, so you can hold up to 2 units, men or mechanized units, vehicles, to take stuff. Now, you would think that since a aircraft carrier could hold 2, why do they only allowed to hold airplanes? It's a good question. Don't you think it should be more? Personally, yes. I think they should be able to substitute a mechanized unit or an infantry for another airplane if they don't have two airplanes. That's just me. But that's not official. Okay. Um so we have extra stacking chips. We have this. Cobra has this during their purchase reinforcement phase, they have the weather dominator, which they can use to freeze up certain areas. It does say that you cannot freeze up. It says you cannot freeze up an area occupied by an enemy, so there is that rule. Uh, why they say that is because I guess you could theoretically, if you could freeze up an area with an enemy, that would mean you could kill all the enemies on that area. Another reason why is another thing you can't freeze up is a base, because if you could freeze up a base, Cobra could, like, in their very first Cobra Commander's very first move, he could use the Weather Dominator to freeze up Snowjob's base, and then uh, Destro's turn when he comes around. Well, actually, probably better to freeze up Admiral Killed's base first, thus destroying all these troops. And if you could use it to destroy a base or freeze a base or freeze an area where men were, then that would be a smart move to destroy, kill all's space in the very first move, and then kill all doesn't get reinforcements in the first turn, so all he really has is this one little force, and then he's effectively out. Plus, he doesn't get his 12 points for the base. Now, if Cobra did do that, Cobra wouldn't be able to take that base unless Cobra destroyed the ice, which you can with a ship, but still wouldn't be able to do that. Then when Destro's turn came around, he could just freeze that area and destroy Snowjobs. Thus, now Snowjob only has this army and this army. And now it becomes a base war for this force to go over here and take over. That is probably why they have the idea of not freezing areas that have people on them and not freezing areas of bases on it. If you could, that's the move I would take. Let's just say optional rule where you could freeze. Because that would be great, because it only costs one resource point. Right now, Cobra and Destro are starting with 12 resource points. So to pay one resource point to just freeze and destroy a base, yeah. Of course, you get to purchase so that you can put those men on at the end of your turn, I believe, after movement and combat. There won't be any movement, or there probably won't be any combat in the first turn, first round, it looks like. But it does look like there is the possibility of taking over victory points. So yeah. Another so if I was a board game hacker and I didn't notice that you couldn't do that, I would be like, bam, bam, and then I would be like, send their men over here to kick butt and fight. That would give Cobra way OP in this game. Especially since the cruiser can go 2 moves, which would make it be able to do this and this, right? And then next round, that would be round 2, because just say theoretically we were able to do that. This is how Cobra could practically instantly win the game in 2 moves. Almost in the first move, because it would be boom, boom, then boom, carries a guy with him. So he carries both of them guys. He also say he carried both of them guys with him. Uses Icebreaker to destroy the ice. These guys are gone. These guys are also gone. Uses Icebreaker to destroy the ice. Lands the 2 people on the base. Destro takes over Snowdrop's base. Cobra Commander takes over Admiral Killhall's base. And they own 2 bases instantly. 2 game win. So that's totally why you're not allowed to do what I just mentioned. Because Cobra would instantly win in basically 2 turns. Then it would be basically, since they've met the victory condition of taking over 1 base, instead they took over 2 base, they would now just have to deal with this one little penalty force with $6 each. Which in this game, you don't keep the money, you have to buy the stuff that you're going to buy, and you have to put it right here. What you do is, if you have any extra money, up to $4 extra, you can put a victory token down here on it to show that you have an extra $4. But you can't have any more than an extra $4 for this particular game. And that is why it says this note right here that says you cannot freeze a base, victory point, or occupied hex. Land and air units may move onto ice hexes. So another thing you can't freeze are these victory point things. And I guess the reason that you can't freeze victory point areas is because you cannot, they don't want you to be able to prevent someone from, because if you could freeze victory point areas, it would be just real easy to just keep freezing the victory point areas until you could ice break and land a guy on them, because then you could ice break, land a guy on them, and take them over, which then leaves the G.I. Joes where they can't take victory points. Now, to me, it looks like the Cobra has the better advantage to take victory points in this game than the Joes, just from the starting setup. That could be wrong. I could be wrong. Anyway, that's the game. And a few board game hacks and that you could do if you basically threw that rule away in the trash. Another, like, say you can destroy victory points. Well, that would mean destroying these areas right here by freezing them over. Say you froze them over. That means that they put more men here, which is the only place you can spawn men, by the way, is your bases.